Yo.
What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing? Honey Bunches of Goats podcast, episode number 11.
Wagwan.
We're in the studio.
Blah, blah, blah.
Wagwan, boy.
Wagwan Mayot.
Wagwan Mayo.
Charging.
So, we have a lot of things to cover. You know, as every week, we go through a number of different sports, a lot of boxing primarily. And you know what happened this past weekend? Might be fight of the 2000s, since the turn of the century. We might have like fight of the year, right?
Fight of the year?
Oh, fight of the year, fight of the century,
Knockout of the year.
Certainly knockout of the year, right up there with the Povetkin White knockout. That was, you know, they're going to be toe to toe, and you know, we still have a couple more months to go in this year as well.
Yeah, and we have a lot of good fights to end off the year too.
Yeah. So you know what, this was a great fight, although maybe not a fight that has two premier names on the ticket, but both guys very experienced, very good fighters as well.
Hey, veterans.
Yeah, we have Ivan Baranchyk, fighter from Russia, hard-nosed, hard-charging fighter who only lost to Josh Taylor prior to this weekend. And then we have Jose Zepeda, a guy who has experience in the ring. He fought Jose Ramirez. He lost to Jose Ramirez, and I remember when I was watching it, it was a barn burner. It was a majority decision, pretty good fight. He also, I didn't know this until today, I was watching watching some highlights right before we started. He actually beat Jose Pedraza last year, and right around 12 months ago exactly. So we had two very experienced guys, both very good fighters at the end of the day. They both fight at super lightweight or light welterweight, whichever sanctioning body you're referring to.
140.
Fighting at 140. And these names kind of get lost because, you know, we have Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez as like the cream of the crop fighters at 140. But Zepeda, with this knockout of the year, certainly put his name in that mix to possibly fight the winner, either a rematch with Jose Ramirez or a fight with Josh Taylor, which, a lefty against a lefty, it's always a great fight when two lefties get in the ring with each other.
It will be super dope.
But you know what? Let's get into the fight first.
Let's do it.
You guys peep the fight. Man, classics matchup, lefty versus righty.
Yeah.
We have Baranchyk was a hard-charging fighter. Early on, caught him with a lot of leading left hooks, which normally most orthodox fighters don't normally start off with. Especially that aggressively when you're fighting a lefty. Most orthodox fighters tend to be a little bit more hesitant going in on a lefty, simply because it's just, most of the time when you're a righty, you're used to fighting other righties. Am I right?
No, of course. And usually, for the most part, you want to test the waters. You try to figure out your distance. You want to start throwing your jabs. But Ivan Baranchyk, he just went in full force with that left hook. Yeah, early.
And he was scoring with that leading left hook. I think, though, as you saw as the rest of the fight, it kind of became the precursor to his demise in the fight.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because he started overthrowing it and kind of like telegraphing it.
He relied definitely a lot in that power punch and that leading left hook.
Yeah.
Which, of course, he had so much success those first two rounds.
Yeah.
But if we break down the fights, first two rounds, Ivan Baranchyk, he had so much success with that. But then as the fight went on, you saw that Jose Zepeda, he had that veteran IQ, very composed, very comfortable, that he switched up a little bit,
Yeah, and the ironic thing is he got knocked down officially 4 times, and not once did he look like he was on the outs. Like, he looked like he got caught. He looked like he was a little stunned, but never out of the fight. Never out of the fight. He seemed like he was well in control of himself after each knockdown. And considering you get knocked down 4 times, especially against a hard charger like Baranchyk, it's actually surprising that he never lost his resolve in the fight. I mean, you guys saw the fight. Okay, so in the first round, Baranchyk knocks down Zepeda twice. I believe one with a right hand, looping right hand, and then he caught him kind of like a little bit with his fist forearm, with his I think it was his left hand. Caught him with a little fist forearm knockdown, Zepeda off bounds. What was your impressions in the first round, guys?
Well, first off, like I mentioned before, man, what a great fight. These two warriors, Zepeda, him being so comfortable, taking those straight right.
Yeah, well,
and then also that left hook.
I think at this point they were like at this particular fight they were just throwing everything and the kitchen sink at each other.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, both guys, credit to them, and it just goes to show you, their resume speaks for itself. They both had a crack on the top light.
Each guy fought each guy fought one of the top 140 fighters in Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. Baranchyk lost to Josh Taylor by decision, and Zepeda lost to Jose Ramirez by majority decision.
Yeah, and you know what? This goes to show. Now, you don't have to be a fan of boxing to appreciate this fight.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like Tim Bradley said, like Tim Bradley. Remember he said that he's like, "Yo, I call your family.
Call your family because there's a fight going on." And
yeah.
ESPN Plus.
It was an all out brawl. Like it was a very, very exciting to watch.
As somebody who's slowly getting into boxing, what was your your impressions of that first round?
So yeah, my impressions. Well, of the first round or the overall fight?
Just the overall fight. And
the overall fight, just to me, it looked like Zepeda was a much more experienced boxer. He just looked like he outboxed Baranchyk.
Even though there was so much action, like getting knocked down.
It was action throughout the whole fight. I mean, it was only 5 rounds. So as a non-boxing watcher, you kind of like shorter fights because usually the longer fights are like kind of boring. But this fight, man. I mean, this is a fight to watch.
Certain fights. Yeah, because Canelo Triple G was 12 rounds. The first.
But it was exciting.
And they were all excited.
But it was a brawl. But there's some fighters that don't brawl like Mayweather. Shots, bang bang.
Or like somebody like Lara or
exactly.
Who else? Gary Russell can be boring sometimes.
Trout.
It happens.
Trout sometimes.
I think Trout does it because he doesn't really. He relies on guile rather than like skill because he's getting old. Like, he always has skills and he's a left-handed fighter, of course. But I think he just doesn't have the talent to be that exciting. But there are some fighters out there in boxing. Who's that Cuban cat? I forgot. Wow, I can't believe Rigondeaux. There goes an example. A guy who has all the talent in the world despite his old age. And still, man, he just is always in a boring fight. Maybe like the last couple fights recently, he hasn't been boring.
And some people's view is boring, but other people's view is smart.
Yeah,
it's smart fight.
But I mean, I think some people also can tell, just in general, whether you're a boxing insider or not, you can tell what a boring fighter is or a boring fight can be. But
what stuck to me the most, what you were saying earlier while we were just rewatching the fight, was that Zepeda, his front foot was on the outside of Baranchyk.
Yeah,
and
which is
it looked like
it
gave him. It looked like it gave him the edge in a lot of, parries that they had against each other.
He kind of waited for Ivan to come in with that lead left hook, and he just waited for him with that left hook of him.
It just looked like he got outboxed. It was a great fight to watch, though.
And you know what?
You gotta watch it.
One trait that I highly praise and I give so much credit to Jose Zepeda is his skill to adapt to the fight. Even though when he's down, he got knocked out. Mm-hmm. For him a couple of times, for him to, let me just stay calm and just know his game style already and just turn it against him was a gift. And so much credit because most fighters in that position would just say, right? You know what? This is fucking crazy. I could either quit like we've seen in the past with certain fighters.
True.
Which is unfortunate in the sport of boxing. Or they could just say, you know what, let me just continue to stick to my game plan. Not at all. Jose just switched it up, and he figured out a way to get this fight. Like you said, KJ, he switched up his technique, waited for Ivan to step in with his, left foot?
Right foot.
His right foot.
on the outside
of his stance,
Baranchyk,
and just waited for him to get clocked with that left hook.
But guys, I have a question for both of you, right? So what was it that or what can Baranchyk do to enhance his skills as he fights other fighters? Or like what is it that he can do to make himself better as a boxer?
That's a good question.
I mean, fights like this usually take a lot out of a fighter, in terms of longevity and in terms of like technical skills. Sometimes like their skills kind of damper a little bit, especially after fights like this.
I
agree. It was very clear that Baranchyk had problems fighting a southpaw fighter. He had these issues as Zepeda was timing him, using his distance to measure him out. Baranchyk seemed to be very aggressive, overly aggressive.
Yeah, that's 100%. I agree.
Like if you see like I said, the first round, he catches him with the lead left hooks, and I think he rushed Zepeda, and Zepeda wasn't ready for that type of pressure initially. So Zepeda got caught, right? Got caught a couple of times, got knocked down twice in the first round, and then started using his distance, probing his, going to his opponent's left-handed side, trying to get that lead foot on the outside of Baranchyk's lead foot. And when Baranchyk started being a little bit more aggressive, coming in with that lead hook, throwing wide shots with both hands, Zepeda just rolled under and then caught him as he was trying to turn around, turn towards Zepeda again. And you saw, remember, in one of the knockdowns, I think in the second round, he catches Baranchyk. Baranchyk overloads on a lead left hand. His back is turned towards Zepeda's.
His body switched.
Yeah, and Zepeda hits him with the uppercut that went under his armpit,
and
knocked him down, and they didn't call it. That would have been 9 knockdowns.
To me, I mean, I'm a non-boxing fan. I do like watching boxing, but it didn't look like a knockdown to me.
Well, listen, anytime you get
it wasn't solid,
Yeah, but regardless, KJ, in terms of the rules of boxing, the moment your glove touches the ground, if you get hit in the head or the body, and then you either when you're off balance or you're hurt, if your glove touches the ground or your knee touches the ground, it's an automatic knockdown. It doesn't matter.
And if you think about it too, KJ, Jose took advantage of the fact that Ivan was in an awkward physical body stance,
like angles, right? We were talking about what's this guy? Pedraza, what's his name? Zepeda. Yeah, like I was telling you guys earlier, like it looked like he was kind of moving like Lomachenko, obviously not as quick and as fast. And
comparison to him.
Yeah, he was like you said.
But he's a lefty.
Was he catching?
He was catching him in angles, which he should. Yep.
Yeah, both of them are lefties. Zepeda and Lomachenko are both left-handed.
And you know what, guys? KJ, to your question, I think Ivan's. I think that was his downfall. His lack of adjusting to the pace of Jose Zepeda's fight.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
He looked like he was trying to fight the same way from round 1 to round 5, despite getting knocked down 4 times. Yeah. He was still trying to fight the same way. And you know what? It's kind of hard to kind of put that blame on Baranchyk because he did knock down Zepeda 4 times. If something's working and it knocks him down 4 times, then you don't have that incentive to change things up because you're catching him. And in your mind, you're like, oh, I'm gonna finally catch him. I'm gonna hurt him. However, the adjustment that he needed to make was to be more selective with his shots, especially with that left hook that he was being successful in initially, and then started kind of like being overly aggressive, much to much to the demise of him in this fight. There is certain things that work, and then over time you have to adjust. Over the course of a fight, you have to start adjusting because then the guy starts adjusting to you. And then when he started getting knocked down, he didn't adjust his defense. He was just like, I'm gonna just keep on doing the same thing because I'm knocking him down. But I guess it's just a case of when 2 fighters and 2 styles just mesh up so perfectly that the first person who eventually gets that hard shot is going to win.
No, you're 100% right.
And this was one of those fights that I think any boxing fan, even hardcore boxing fans are like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, this is in a good way, of course. This is like, what the fuck did I just watch in a good way? Because you don't see that. 4 knockdowns each fighter and then a knockout in the 5th round. To have that many knockdowns in that little time. Imagine if this fight went 12 rounds and no one got knocked out.
Yeah.
How many knockdowns there would have been?
Yeah. And if you want to introduce the sport of boxing to a non-boxing fan, this would be a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
Just show them this fight.
Right
And
here.
like, look, guys, there's
right
plenty
here.
of fights that are done, and this is the outcome, or potentially have this success of a fight. So, guys,
did you see KJ's face? He was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, it definitely like watching it just definitely at first I'm like, who are these guys? You know, as a boxing fan, you're like, who are these guys? But when you see them get busy and get to work, and you know it was only 5 rounds, so you know they got to work.
And you know what, Kyle, the winner of this fight would potentially get a winner of Ramirez and Josh Taylor, which maybe. Why not maybe make it a second fight with these two guys? I mean,
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I would watch it.
I wouldn't mind
but
seeing
the
them
first
run it
time
back.
around,
I wouldn't.
I would
but
watch
if
that.
I was Zepeda and now not beating Baranchyk and becoming, I think he's the mandatory now. He's the number one challenger now.
Yeah, no, of course.
I would wait personally. Like I already knocked him out, and it was a great fight. I would knock him out. And then I would wait. I would be like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the winner of Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez. Cause say he does fight
There's no
Baranchyk
need to
again.
rush, right?
Yeah, say he does fight Baranchyk again and he gets knocked out or he
Yeah,
loses.
word.
But in terms of excitement, guys, wouldn't you guys want to watch
Oh,
a
of
second
course,
fight?
yeah,
Facts.
of course.
That's a
Please,
fact.
if it was a choice of
No
boxing
cap.
fans, a lot of fights would happen, regardless of the politics. If it was up to us, we would have saw Crawford, Spence, maybe last year.
No, of course.
And
But
if
the
it was up to us, Mayweather Pacquiao would have happened 5 years earlier.
But the
than it
difference
did.
is, since this fight was such a great success, it would make sense to potentially linger on to a rematch, and maybe strike twice at the
No cap.
success.
Maybe
No
Zepeda.
kidding.
Hey, maybe Zepeda is confident in himself, and if he doesn't get a fight anytime soon, or if he's not guaranteed a shot from a winner of the Josh Taylor Jose Ramirez fight, if he's not guaranteed a shot right now, then hey, you know, if he's confident in himself, run it back, and then now people will see. KJ, for example, will see that if Jose Zepeda fights again, he'll know that guy. He'll be like, oh yeah, I saw that guy win that crazy fight, and I think that's how most boxing casuals latch on to boxing. They'll see a great fight, they'll recognize the name, and then they'll kind of want to follow. Like, oh, when's this guy's next fight? Because he was super fun to watch. I think that's what happened with me and Pacquiao. When I first saw Pacquiao, the first time I ever saw him live was I saw the fight live in San Antonio. I wasn't there, but they fought in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Him against Marco Antonio Barrera, the first one. He was a short notice call, and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, here goes this Filipino dude that I'm like, oh, he's Filipino. Oh, fuck, this is interesting. Let me go check this out. I was watching it because I was a big fan of The Wire, and I think it showed right after The Wire showed. So I was like watching this fight. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens, bro. That was it was a great fight. And then not only that, but being Filipino and then seeing a Filipino fighter by chance, completely by chance, catching him fight. I basically saw the beginnings of Manny Pacquiao's career.
His legacy.
The beginning of his legacy, where he started building his legacy. And I mean, that was by chance. And then after I saw that, I was like, hey, I'm going to look for his next fight because, he's a Filipino dude and he was really exciting. So I think boxing needs more fights like this. And did you hear Bob Arum said that the Spence Crawford fight, the Crawford Brook fight is not going to be pay-per-view. It's going to be regular TV. So
wow.
Imagine if that's a great fight. Casuals watch it, and then it gets exciting after that.
No, I agree. And you know what? To your comment about free fights, credit to Top Rank for having these fights, and great fights, by the way, free on ESPN.
Yeah, I kind of like where Bob Arum is kind of going with this in regards to the coronavirus. Bob Arum isn't the easiest guy to work with in boxing as a promoter. Yeah, he's one of the long-term boxing promoters, Hall of Famer and all that stuff. But to see him kind of really into putting these fights forward in the midst of coronavirus pandemic, it's really great as a boxing fan.
And very consistent too.
Yeah.
If you compare boxing brands and their promotion companies, Top Rank has been the most consistent, putting out the best product, fights, etc., out on television.
Well, I mean, that's for sure. It was a little rocky at first, and then PBC started. PBC, with that double header, with the Charlo with double header, that was a great card too.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're kind of competing with each other, and they're trying to see I think they saw how the UFC was doing it, and then all the attention UFC was getting, and they're like, you know what, we got to get on a game too.
But in a way, it feels like PBC are kind of racing against Top Rank to get to their consistency of level of product.
Yeah.
Which Top Rank, like you said, has been the first promotion that we could think of that has been putting out fights on TV, and then came the rest. But for the most part, it's been all Top Rank.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you who's in last place. The Zone.
Yeah, we definitely talked about this in the previous podcast. But hey, I hope they get their shit together.
Yeah. And actually, that brings up to our next topic: NBA Finals. We're in game.
Yes, sir.
We're in right now. We're going game 6 now. We saw the first 2 games how they went down, and clearly the Heat.
Game 5, you mean?
What?
Yeah, you mean game 5, not game 6.
No, we're going. The next game is game 6.
It's game 5.
Game 5.
Is it game 5?
Yes.
Oh,
it's 3-1 right now.
My bad. Oh, so we saw the Heat kind of outmatched in the first 2 games, right? There's a lack of talent level on the Heat compared to the Lakers, especially with these injuries. What did you guys see these so far throughout the series? Because we saw the first 2 games go completely the Lakers' way. Then we saw Jimmy Butler body the Lakers, and we saw the Lakers kind of almost give up that last game, but they buckled down in the fourth quarter. Anthony Davis coming up big, KJ's Masputa recipient from a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how, but so what did you guys see so far in these past 4 games?
Cool. So
let me start it off. So like you said, with game 3, the Miami Heat, taking over, beating the Lakers, beating LeBron James, beating Anthony Davis. It was just it was a hard fought game. It was very entertaining throughout the whole game. But Butler had the best of LeBron. Butler had a triple double.
Jimmy buckets.
Jimmy buckets. He did what he had to do. He scored. He went off. 40 points. How many points did he have, Raul?
40 points.
40 points. 13 assists, 11 rebounds, which is very not like Jimmy Butler. He's not a guy to get assists like that.
Well, if you think about it, man, with so much injuries, especially Bam Adebayo being out, somebody needs to grab those rebounds.
No, you're right.
He did a little bit of everything, man.
He did. He showed why he belongs here. He belongs in the NBA Finals. His team belongs in the NBA Finals. Tyler Hero came up big. Like he's been doing all year. He had 17 points in game 3.
Especially in the bubble, man.
He's been playing amazing. Duncan Robinson had a couple of points there as well. Olynyk had a big game, 17 points. Went 3 for 5 from the 3-point.
Definitely Olynyk. Bam Adebayo being out and Eric Spoelstra using him and rotating him as a big man really did benefit game 3 for the Heat. He, as we all know, very underrated at times, likes to throw those threes, making them in game 3. Came up pretty clutch for them and needed him.
They needed him. Without him and without Bam and Goran Dragic, it probably would have been 3-0 by this time. But now let's moving on.
A different story for game 4, right?
Yeah. We talked about this.
Yeah, but game 4, this is Bam Adebayo. His coming back from injury and actually playing.
He played really well.
Very well.
I'm not gonna lie, as a fan, just watching the game, you can tell Bam was uncomfortable. He didn't look 100% to my eyes, to my observation.
Yeah. Somewhat. You see little stints there and then. He was a little uncomfortable, and as he should. He's coming back from a neck injury, so that kind of gave him the best out of his gameplay. But
and Dragic is trying to come back too, right? Isn't he trying to come back for game 5?
I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't.
That
I don't think so.
And if he does come back, how effective can he be, especially with those knee injuries?
Yeah.
Foot injury. I mean, but he had a brace on his knee too. I think on his right knee too.
I think overall he's been injured all year.
I mean, he is in his 30s. Goran Dragic.
He's very old now.
I mean, veteran player, man. He did make a huge difference against that Celtics series. But Bam Adebayo, going back to that, he has that tough job of guarding not just AD, but LeBron James. At times, they switch up to Dwight Howard. And me and you kind of discuss how the Lakers have an advantage with height, with
100%,
with the paint, So it's hard for Miami to really cover all these aspects and then let these little things.
And then
slip
Bam
up.
being one of their better front court players, he's more of a front court player, even though I think he's like a hybrid 3-4, right? He's like a hybrid 3-4 player. So
Definitely.
he's like a stretch 4 in a way. And with him injured, other than Butler's tenacity on the boards, there's really no like primary like rebounder on the Heat. I think they team rebound. They team rebound and they crash the boards. Not crash the board as often and as effectively as the Lakers, but they crash the boards. They take turns trying to crash the boards and create some type of like rebounding presence down in the lane. So, but I mean, with AD there and with JaVale McGee, even though JaVale McGee's not playing like all too well, and Dwight Howard's not playing all too well, they're still there. They're still very they're very big presence down in the lane.
One of the downfall for the Lakers I noticed is turnovers. Game 3, Lakers had a huge difficulty with turnovers. They turned over the ball pretty bad, and for Game 4 they did exactly the same.
True.
I will go ahead and say that one of the underrated players for the Lakers that really did came up clutch for the Lakers was Pope, right?
Caldwell Pope. Contavious Caldwell Pope.
There
Pope.
you go.
Played 32 minutes, shot 3 for 8, had 15 points, 5 assists in Game 4 in the 102-96 victory over the Heat.
That was game 4, right?
Game 4, yeah. Overall, man, Caldwell Pope played outstanding. He made plays every chance that he could.
And he's like at this point of the playoffs, I think he's their main reliable 3-point shooter.
Yeah. When they got Kyle Kuzma.
You could say that.
Kuzma was shooting a couple of threes.
But Kuzma's more inside-out guy type of player, right?
But
inside out.
When the Lakers need somebody to shoot a big shot, he's always there
Pope. No,
to deliver.
Pope.
Because that was the main issue, right? The bench, the lack of bench depth and 3-point shooting for the Lakers going into these playoffs. And they seem to overcome that with a lot of like big like performances by specific players here and there. Maybe not all collectively at the same time, but there seems to be always some type of player like stepping up that's not LeBron or AD. AD and LeBron are going to do what they do regardless. But the Lakers always have somebody or a couple people with like maybe a couple of big shots here and there, which that's all they really need. When you have LeBron and AD, you need just a little bit of help, as opposed to the Heat where they first of all they need Jimmy Butler to go off. They like all the way off.
Right. Yeah,
they need
right about that.
Tyler Hero to hit threes. Mm-hmm. They cannot afford a bad game from Duncan Robinson whatsoever. If
right on the money.
They can't afford. None of their starters can have bad games.
On the money.
Even though they have depth on the back end, they don't have that what you call it, margin for error anymore. Especially with Bam being injured and Goran Dragic being severely injured, they don't have anybody to kind of organize their offense as well as Dragic did. Especially this particular playoffs, how well he's been playing, and not even on the box score, but just setting up the offense, kind of getting everyone into position so that way Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Jimmy Butler can each play effectively to their strengths.
Yeah. And I got 2 words too, guys, that most people like to overlook this, which people shouldn't, because he's done this for a long while, which is playoff Rondo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Playoff Rondo is a whole different kind of player in the regular season compared to the regular season.
Yeah.
He, to what you said, Kyle, that point guard, that organized player that's going to dish it out, that's going to organize the whole offense. He's been doing this for the Lakers, KJ, I think.
I think he definitely sets the tone when he's on the court, especially when he's with LeBron. Sometimes, I will say that there's times where he takes shots that I'm just like, Rondo, don't throw those shots up. But, he takes it back and he just, plays well defensively. Like you said, orchestrates the offense while he's on the court. And he does what he can, setting up AD for a lot of big plays.
Credit to him, because he kind of closed the show for Game 4. He was making very easy layups. The Heat kind of didn't really have an answer for him at times, which they should always definitely keep an eye out for him, because he's been doing it with the Bostons for how many years. And guys, in the end of the day, when things are set in stone, how many future Hall of Famers does the Lakers have in this team?
Too many.
Rondo's a borderline Hall of Famer, but it goes to show you in his career, he is the most effective surrounded by talent. That
borderline? I don't know about that.
I would say borderline. Borderline Hall of Fame. We don't know.
If the Lakers win, he could kind of.
He can make a claim. He'll have 2 championships there.
I'm gonna go ahead and say he's definitely a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
For all his success and titles he had with Boston, and you never know, potential one with the Lakers. He's down in the road for discussion for sure.
I think if you see him, he's always most effective when he's playing with talent. Yeah. And when you have somebody like LeBron and AD, you can you can play your game and fill in those empty spaces of the game that may be lacking in the Lakers rotations, and kind of build some type of positive organization on the court. When say AD or LeBron is out, or LeBron is not, is sitting on the bench, you can give the ball to Rondo and have him run the offense for a quarter and a half, or
in the last few minutes of the game.
Because LeBron's gonna play like maybe 98% of the minutes, but if he does need a rest, they can rely on Rondo to take care of the ball and then kind of like set up the offense along with. Especially if AD is still on the court, Rondo has been really helpful in these playoffs. Well, I say he's been a superstar, no, but then again, the Lakers don't need anyone to be to have a type of like the scary Terry Boston Celtic run that he stepped up his game. They don't need him to do that particularly. They just need each player to have a good game and fill in those blanks that AD and LeBron doesn't fill.
I mean, I don't mind if Rondo shows his signs of scary Terry and knocking down big 3-pointers for his team, because but it would definitely help.
Listen,
LeBron.
If you're the Heat, you want Rondo to shoot 3-pointers. That's what you want.
But
you're right about that too.
Yes, but to my surprise, especially with that same question, he's been knocking down big shots, which we all know. Like, we question them. Mm-hmm. Like, Rondo, are you gonna take those shots? And he is, and he's making them.
But not as of late. Game 3 and Game 4, he hasn't come through as clutch as I'm normally used to.
To get to the stage where they are, and I'm not a Lakers fan with LeBron in that team, he's been coming up and very successful with that shooting game plan that he was lacking before. So
no cap.
I think in the end of the day, man, it just goes to show the difference in between experience. The Heat, fortunately, they're very fresh, young, new team. The Lakers, they've been here. It's not their first walk around the park.
So I have a question for you guys. Kyle, we talked about this earlier, but here's my question. Is LeBron clutch in the last few minutes of the game? In the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, is LeBron clutch? Kyle.
I'm going to go to this reference that I told you, You cannot say LeBron is not clutch. Right?
True.
Well said.
Okay.
That's a fact.
However, when you think of clutch players, you think Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Magic to a certain extent, right? You say those players are clutch. With LeBron can be clutch. You're not automatic off the top of your head, LeBron is clutch. Because he's had his moments where he is super clutch. And then he's also had his moments that you're like, he either defers or he kind of shrinks in the moment. And so, it's not fair to say that LeBron isn't clutch, but he's not automatic. LeBron is clutch. No, like Jordan, Kobe, Bird, Magic, you think those guys are clutch. They are clutch. So when you talk to the players, they say they are clutch. LeBron can be clutch. And that's the biggest distinction between that tier of clutch players and LeBron James. Now, to be fair, LeBron James is the meat and potatoes player of the game. He will do everything you need him to do for 40 minutes of the game. Now, in terms of like the last 5 minutes of big games in the playoffs, it's here and there. Like, perfect example, Game 7 in 2016, he had that huge block on Andre Iguodala on that fast break, right? Super clutch. But a lot of people kind of forget it looked like whenever the Lakers had the ball in the last 3 minutes, it looked like he didn't want any part of the ball, or he didn't want any part of the shot, which is why Kyrie kind of went off on that Game 7 and Game 6. Like, he was the one going off at the end of the game. Now, I can't argue with, LeBron. You can't say, oh, that's a bad thing LeBron did, because it's not. But there are times like he seems like he doesn't want the ball at the end of the games. And like I said, he can be clutch. And he's shown that there's times that he wants to. He's hit game winners. He's hit game altering shots for a series. He's done that. But then you can, as many times you can point that, you could also point the times that he kind of like can lack in the game, especially in the playoffs. He can
go missing at times.
Like a lot of people like to bring up 2011 NBA Finals. He was awful. He was
against who?
Denver. I mean Denver, not Denver. No. Dallas. He was against Dallas. He was awful against the Dallas.
When he was
Mavericks.
playing with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, he was awful in that series.
But how was Dwayne Wade playing that year? How was Chris Bosh playing during that finals?
Remember, that was their first finals appearance, and they were. I think it really took them the whole year to learn how to play with each other. I think that's what happened. Then 2012, when most people thought that OKC was going to beat them, they killed OKC in 6 games. And they showed their experience. 2013, they beat the Spurs, but they got lucky with that shot with Ray Allen.
They did.
And then when you saw 2014, they got completely demolished by the Spurs. Like, the Spurs figured out how to play them, and they got demolished. So, it just depends on your perspective on LeBron. If you're a LeBron hater, which I sometimes lean to, you can point out all the times that he hasn't been clutch. But at the same token, you could also point out all the times he has been clutch. So the word of it's all about semantics. Jordan is clutch. LeBron can be clutch. I'm gonna leave it at that for you guys.
I think.
Well, what do you think?
I think we could all agree that LeBron is clutch. But of course, if you compare him to the clutch players in our era in the past, there are current players that we've seen dominate these moments, these key moments where they come through clutch. Now, if we talk about the series, people could argue that maybe AD is more clutch than LeBron.
100%.
KJ's Masputa from a couple weeks ago.
Which I personally will have to say AD so far this series, even last series in the Western Conference Finals against the Nuggets, has been more clutch, more efficient, throwing up a little bit more numbers, getting more rebounds. Which
like the throwback to like how it was in the 90s when your clutch player was your post player.
Yeah. And you know what? Look, LeBron in some ways is not getting any younger. He's getting older, so we're starting to see a little glimpse of it.
True.
But don't get me wrong, no discredit to how good of a player he is. He's still going in. He's still playing at an elite level. Yeah, elite level. But at this point on, I don't see much, consistency going on. He's either going to stay the same or even go down a little bit.
Or decrease a little bit.
Yeah, decrease. But what Tukal says, there's levels to it. There's also rotation of how you want to put it from 1 to 5, your top 5, your top 10. And I think there's definitely players ahead of him in that category. With all due respect, of course, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. Yeah, I think that would be my rotations. Yeah. Which is not a bad class to be with.
That's more of my argument at times with LeBron. Is like, he deserves to be in every category that he's in because of his style of play, whether it be passing the ball, rebounding the ball, and just whatever he's doing on the court, he's doing it for the betterment of the team, and I appreciate that as a fan. Just with everything that he does, like you said with that block in Game 7 against the Warriors, come on. That block.
That was super clutch. But then a lot of people forget those last 3 minutes of the game. It looked like he didn't even want the ball.
He didn't want the ball. No, it didn't look like it was. That's what it was. He didn't want the ball. And so playing basketball, listen. Yeah, like I said,
that represents the dichotomy of LeBron James in the clutch. He can be really clutch, but then he also can be kind of like little ball shy.
Hesitant. Very, very hesitant, if that's another word.
And especially if the game isn't going his way, he tends to... bad body language too.
That's his problem. Because he can be so much of a better player. And imagine saying that about LeBron. He can be a better player if at times he would change his attitude towards his teammates. Because there's a lot of times where he makes mistakes. But there's also a lot of times where he just does everything for the team. But that's what's more appreciating watching him. You know, that he can make those plays and be different than any basketball player I've ever seen or watched. Tonight's Game 5. Do you think the Lakers can take it all the way tonight? Kyle?
I remember I predicted that the Lakers would close out in 6, and you guys predicted a sweep. I'm still sticking to my 6-game prediction. Because Jimmy Butler can go off again, so that's how I feel. Lakers in 6. So I think the Heat win this game tonight.
I will have to say the Lakers are gonna take it tonight, and one of the reasons why I will say this, I'm very when it comes down to little details, I'm always looking at. The Lakers are gonna wear their Black Mambas jerseys tonight, which we all know whenever they have them on the court and whenever they're wearing them, they're always winning. That's their good luck charm, like they say. And just that, let alone, and that factor, and having that for Kobe, representing him and his legacy, everything is written in the books in a fairy tale like ending. So because of that, I think they're gonna win. And also, I don't know how the Heat's locker room momentum is, their moral is, but
they just hurt, man. They're hurt.
They're beat
I feel
up.
bad.
They're beat up.
They're beat up. They're very beat up throughout the whole playoffs.
The Lakers have such a big lineup. Tonight, Lakers.
Lakers tonight.
What about you, Kay?
Guys, I love to say it. I'm not saying I hate to say it. I love to say this. I'm hoping LeBron gets his 4th championship tonight. AD gets his 1st championship. Wouldn't that be exciting for me? Like, don't you guys think I need that for 2020? Out of everything going on, the Lakers winning this championship with LeBron leading his team to victory.
KJ is currently cradling the balls right now.
No cap.
Okay, so we already know what KJ's prediction is going to be. What is it going to be, KJ?
Got the Lakers tonight.
Okay. Let's go to NFL news, guys.
Switching gears. Let's get it.
Listen, we actually had a lot of good games on this past week for week 4. It was pretty good. Let's do the rundown, guys. Bop, bop, bop. We covered, the first game of the week was the Thursday night game. We actually covered that the Jets versus Broncos. The Broncos won 37-28. Just a trash, so it doesn't matter. But so let's go to the breakdown. This past Sunday, first game on deck is Bengals winning 33-25 against the Jaguars in Cincinnati. Gardner Minshew threw 2 touchdowns, but Joe Burrow gets his first win in the Tiger Stripes. Joe Mixon went off 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. So what do you guys think of Joey Burrow getting his first win? What do you guys think?
I'm proud of him.
It's long overdue, man. He's
been balling out, right?
Hell yeah. He should have got a win. A
couple of times.
Yeah, week 1, a matter of fact, when his kicker missed a field goal to tie the game and potentially go to overtime to maybe win the game. And
just to note, first NFL quarterback to throw 300 yards in his first 4 straight games. Very impressive, actually. Extremely impressive.
Guys, so what is it about Joe Burrow? Is he legit?
I think he's legit. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. I just wanted to know that. That was just my question.
The way he's playing, absolutely. Then we had KJ's game of the week. Browns beating the Cowboys 49-38. Let me tell you something. Dak Prescott is on pace to throw for over 6,700 yards this season. And yet the Cowboys are 1-3. Browns, as bad as they have been, are 3-1 and right in the thick of things of the AFC North. What do you guys think of that game?
I loved it. You know me, I loved it.
Let me guess. Has it to do with something with 3 letters, O, B, and J?
Definitely. Odell Beckham having an impressive game. Finally, this one was definitely long overdue, Raul, like you always say. But 5 receptions, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 carries for 73 yards, and he scored a game-winning touchdown at that. So
yeah, so
he played well.
Okay.
As bad as the Browns have been, right, Raul? Like they're 3-1 at the end of the day, and you are what your record is. So
yeah. I don't think anybody could shit on OBJ now. No pun intended.
at least not on his face, maybe his chest. We also had the Saints beating the Lions 35-29 in Detroit. Drew Brees threw for 2 touchdowns, 246 yards. Alvin Kamara, 83 yards, a touchdown on 19 carries. And Emmanuel Sanders almost going over 100 yards with 6 receptions, 93 yards. At the end of the game, with the Lions struggling right now, 1-3, end of the game, Matt Patricia was asked a question of, why should fans trust you to lead this team? And one of the specific quotes was, we had a lot of work to do when I got here. Guys, this is already his 3rd year here in Detroit, inheriting a decent team from Jim Caldwell. A lot of former Lions that were Jim Caldwell guys taking exception to his words. What do you think of Matt Patricia's job? I'll tell you what I think. I think he's done a terrible job, and I think he's done even a more terrible job in terms of player relations. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I remember him. I'd say his best days were with the Patriots. Maybe try to rethink your position, and it doesn't hurt to go back a step or two and go to the drawing board as a defensive coordinator to another team.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much done. What about you, KJ? I think he's gonna get fired this year.
I'm sure Detroit Lion fans have been disappointed for these 3 years that he's been coaching. So, a change wouldn't be bad, because I do love Matthew Stafford, so I would keep him as QB.
Yeah, but Matthew Stafford's already over the hill.
Yeah, he's overrated, right?
Yeah.
He does have an amazing throwing form, but he's been slacking. So,
yeah,
that's my thoughts.
Our next game, we had the Seahawks beating the Dolphins 31-23. It was a lot closer game than the score indicates, because they kind of went off towards the end. But let's talk about Russell Wilson, MVP candidate. He threw for 360 yards, 2 touchdowns. What do you guys think of Russell Wilson's year? He's just as good as he was last year, maybe even better. Russell Wilson for MVP, what do you think?
Russell Wilson for MVP. I'm backing that.
What about you, KJ?
I agree, but I think, more important, I'm sure to him, is going to be winning another championship. I know he's not thinking about no MVP awards, because as we all know him, he's a winner. So, he wants to win the championship this year.
Absolutely. We also had the Buccaneers beating the Chargers 38-31 in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady went off in this game. We will actually get to the next game that he played on Thursday night. But Tom Brady in this game, 369 yards and 5 touchdowns. Ronald Jones went for 111 yards, and Mike Evans went for over 122 yards. Let me tell you something. With this offensive firepower that Brady's starting to get acclimated to, do you think Brady will have one of his quintessential Brady years? Yes or no?
No, not yet. Maybe next year.
Okay. What about you?
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he is a GOAT and a champion. I say yes.
You know what? I think Tom Brady starts putting his name in for MVP consideration. Well, maybe not MVP consideration, but definitely Pro Bowl consideration.
True.
By week 6, probably by week 6, 7, I would say. But then we're also going to get to his next game, which will come a little bit later.
And if I could say credit to Justin Herbert.
Oh yeah, Justin Herbert.
Man, I saw this game and
seems like the real deal, right?
Yeah, man.
A lot of the issues that I think a lot of people were worried about with him seem to be, I won't say fully fixed, but he seems to be a lot more decisive and just letting the ball fly. I mean, there are some holes in this game, but the Chargers have been doing really well in coaching him up. Then we had the Ravens 31 over the soon-to-be Dwayne Haskins benched Washington football team. Do you think Dwayne Haskins deserves to be benched at this point of the season? This is going to be week 5. He's going to make his 5th start. We knew the Ravens were going to win. They won 31-17, but Dwayne Haskins, struggling to really start to get the ball rolling on touchdowns. He's passing a lot, but a lot of check downs, a lot of safety throws as well. Do you think Dwayne Haskins deserves to get benched at this point?
So yeah, I thought Dwayne Haskins got himself acclimated to his offense and was playing pretty well, but overall the team is still missing some talent on their part. So I disagree with him being benched.
What about you, Raul?
Yeah, bench him.
No, you know what?
Why not?
He doesn't have a lot of weapons at his disposal, but he has not been playing well. I'm going to leave it up to the Washington coaches to figure that out. A surprising mild upset. We had the Panthers in Carolina beating the Kyler Murray-led Cardinals 31-21. Teddy Bridgewater threw for 2 touchdowns, ran his first touchdown in 5 years. As you may know, Teddy Bridgewater had a severe knee injury a couple years ago, almost to the point of almost losing his leg.
The Vikings.
And he ran for I think a 30-yard or 40-yard touchdown, and looked pretty good. Got a couple of jukes in there. So now the Cardinals lost 2 in a row. We had Kyler Murray looking really good the first 2 weeks, and now looking a little bit coming down to earth in his sophomore year, with the Cardinals sitting at 2-2. Let me ask you 2 questions off the top of your head real quick. Does Kyler Murray get into the playoffs this year? Yes or no?
Depending on the schedule, I say yes.
What about you, Raul?
Yeah. I like Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do the Panthers get into the playoffs this year? Yes or no?
No.
KJ?
I say no.
No.
Okay, well, both teams are 2-2, so it'll be interesting to see the rest of the season. We also have the Vikings, destroying the Texans. I mean, not destroying, but they won 31-23. And considering the Vikings' offensive woes, they got their first win against a winless Texas team. And this was the game that got Bill O'Brien fired, guys. I'm going to ask you a quick question. I mean, and just the running of the stats, Dalvin Cook continuing his campaign for best running back in the league, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Thielen went off for 114 yards. And Deshaun Watson, in a losing effort, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. So let me ask you a quick question about this. With Bill O'Brien fired, do you think the Texans turn their season around?
No.
What about you, Gabe?
Too late.
I hope so.
But what do you think? What do you think?
It's tough to say, to be honest. I hope so. I want them to. I say yes because I
0-4
want them to.
At this point, no.
Yeah, I also say no, but I hope the Texans can turn it around for Deshaun Watson's sake because I love him as a player. We also had the Rams surprisingly struggle against the Giants in LA, 17-9. They won. However, it was pretty close up until the Daniel Jones interception that sealed the game for the Rams.
Sounds
the
familiar.
Rams are 3-1. Jared Goff played okay, 200 yards, 1 touchdown. We know the Rams will be okay, right? Will they win a Super Bowl? We're not sure. However, do you think Daniel Jones is the answer for the Giants? 0-4, struggling, and through the game-sealing interception at the end of the game. Do you think Daniel Jones is the answer for the Giants? Yes or no?
All right. Just really quick explanation. It's not his fault, but no. There's been signs of and sparks of him being that quarterback for the organization. But it doesn't help when they're missing so much tools to help him out. Injuries, injury running back,
injuries to Saquon.
Lack of offensive line to give him that protection. It's just unfortunate, no.
Yeah. What about you, Gideon?
I'm a believer in Daniel Jones. I'm a believer, so I'm going to say yes.
Okay. All right, cool. We also had the Colts beating the Bears in Chicago 19-11. Wasn't a particularly fun game. Phillip Rivers has the Colts at 3-1 despite his pedestrian numbers according to his standards. Nick Foles came back down to earth. He threw for 249 yards, a touchdown. I think he also threw an interception. So for my question for you guys is, do you think Nick Foles keeps on starting until the end of the season, or do you think that Mitchell Trubisky will eventually be back this year? Because the Bears are 3-1 and in the thick of things of the NFC North. So what do you guys think? Do you think Foles starts the rest of the year, or you see Mitchell Trubisky come back eventually?
He's been in this situation before when
times.
he's been called up because of injury,
Yeah.
and he's been pretty successful. I think Chicago's going to do the same.
Okay. What about you, KJ?
It looks like it's the same runaround for Nick Foles throughout his career. He just does well one game, won a Super Bowl, but wins games and then he loses games. So I feel like Mitchell Trubisky will be back and quarterbacking for the Chicago Bears.
Okay, all right. And the next game we had the Bills beating the Raiders in Las Vegas 30-23. Josh Allen threw for 2 touchdowns, even though he injured his shoulder early in the game. Derek Carr didn't play too bad either. 311 yards, 2 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs really went off again for 6 receptions and 115 yards. We have the Bills at 4-0, Raiders at 2-2. My first quick question is: do the Raiders make the playoffs? Yes or no? Off the top of your head.
I say no.
No.
Okay. My second question for you is: the Bills are 4-0. They look like they're going to make the playoffs. Do you think that Josh Allen can win the MVP this year? Do you think he's the favorite to win the MVP this year?
No.
Okay. What about you, KJ?
Even though he's making a strong
Push for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that his numbers show that he would be an MVP candidate, but Russell Wilson has been playing amazing. So
Yeah, there you go. All right. I think I also think Russell Wilson is the favorite. So, but Josh Allen, we have plenty of season left. We also have the Eagles getting their first win against the 49ers, 25-20 in San Fran. Carson Wentz, has been much maligned this season. Hasn't played much to his MVP standards from a couple of years ago. Although a lot of his supporting cast is injured. So my question to you is, with the Eagles at 1-2-1 and the 49ers at 2-2 but injured, who has a more likely chance of making the playoffs? Raul? Eagles or 49ers, who has a better chance of making the playoffs this year?
49ers.
Okay. Even despite the injuries, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, guys?
same.
49ers.
49ers.
Oh, man. Carson Wentz is getting pounded this year. We also had a doubleheader on Monday night that wasn't originally a doubleheader planned, but we had the Chiefs beating the Cam Newton-less Patriots 26-10. Pat Mahomes, 2 touchdowns. He didn't play amazing, but Pat Mahomes, when he throws for 236 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's considered a bad day for him, it shows a lot of how talented he is. The Patriots right now are 2-2. I think they expect Cam Newton back for their next game. So let me ask you a question. We know the Chiefs are making the playoffs. Do the Patriots make it to the playoffs?
With the conference that they're in and everything going on, yeah.
Okay, all right. I agree with you as well. What about you, KJ?
Yeah, I love Cam, so I want to see him in the playoffs this year.
Okay, all right. We also had the Packers beating the Falcons in Green Bay 30-16. Aaron Rodgers, again, doing Aaron Rodgers things, 327 yards, 4 touchdowns. He threw 3 touchdowns to Robert Tonyan, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Packers are 4-0. Again, we know what's up with them. Let me ask you a question about the Falcons, especially with those 2 huge, big losses that they were leading big in. Do you think this is Matt Ryan's last year in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay, I think so too. Wow, I agree. What about you, KJ?
Yeah, 0-4, terrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, that's a weekly wrap-up. Unfortunately, the Titans and Steelers did not play due to the COVID outbreak the Titans are experiencing, and we don't know if they're going to be playing this weekend. There's a lot to be said, but you know what? Let's get into next week's matchups, and I want to hear rapid fire off the top of your head. Who do you think wins? Okay, let's go. All right, we already had the Thursday night game, Tampa versus Chicago in Chicago. Chicago won 20-19. Tom Brady, at the end of the game, inexplicably had a brain fart, something that the quarterback you would least expect to have a brain fart at the end of the game would be Tom Brady. He lost track of downs and turned over the ball on downs. Chicago winning by 1 point, 20-19. So we already know the results of that game. But now we have the next game, Carolina at Atlanta. Who do you have winning, guys?
Panthers.
Yeah, I'm taking the Panthers as well.
I'll take the Panthers as well. Las Vegas at Kansas City.
Chiefs going 5-0.
Chiefs.
Chiefs Nation in the house. Then we have Arizona at the New York Jets. I have Arizona winning
The
big.
Cardinals.
You know what's gonna happen that game. Sorry, Raul.
All right.
Oh, don't be sorry. They suck.
Our next game, we have Philly at Pittsburgh. The Battle of Pennsylvania.
Steelers are 3-0. Wow.
Steelers.
Yes, I have Steelers as well.
I'm taking the Steelers if they're 3-0 now.
I wouldn't be surprised if Carson Wentz plays big this game, but, I have the Steelers winning this game as well.
Better.
We have the Chargers at Washington.
Chargers, Washington.
The Rams. Easy.
Yeah, I
Easy
mean, if they
pick.
don't start Dwayne Haskins, I'm taking the Rams as well.
I'm taking the Rams simply because I think that front four of the Chargers is going to demolish the Washington football team. We also have Cincinnati at Baltimore.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow can go off, but I still think at the end of the day, Baltimore pulls this off. What about you guys?
I'm taking the Ravens.
Okay, all right, but look out for Joey Burrow. He might throw 300 against his defense. We also have Jacksonville at Houston.
Jags.
What about you,
Taking the
Giz?
Jags. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm taking the Texans.
You know what?
For this game,
I think that the Texans might get a little bit of a boost now that Bill O'Brien is out there. Is no longer the head coach of the team. I think Deshaun Watson gets his first win. We also have Miami at
Dolphins?
San Fran.
ooh,
San Fran is injured.
Even with a beat up San Francisco team, they're gonna win.
Who? San Fran?
I'm taking Miami.
The 49ers.
I'm Fitzmagic. I still believe in Fitzmagic, baby. Let's go.
wanna-
Dolphins all day. Dolphins all day.
I want to see Tua play.
He might. He might play.
You know what? If you think about it, this is the perfect game to actually give him some minutes up against a beat up
Boost his
49ers
confidence.
team.
Well,
even though
injured-
most of the
injured team.
injuries are on their offensive side, I mean, hey, you got nothing to lose. Do it.
Not at all.
We'll see. I think Fitzmagic he hasn't played bad and he hasn't played well, but we'll see how the rest of the season goes and see the
Typical.
dynamics.
I don't think we want to hear about Fitzmagic
Oh,
anymore.
God.
Or
Anyways,
Fitzpatrick, or Fitztragic, whichever
Yeah,
one. We
that
don't wanna
was
hear
so
about him.
2016. No,
Anyways, next game, Indianapolis at Cleveland. We already know who KJ is gonna pick.
Ooh.
Raul, who do you pick?
Colts.
No cap.
I think this is gonna be a barn burner. I'm gonna go with Phillip Rivers in this one and the Indianapolis Colts. We have the New York Giants at Dallas. I'm sorry about that, guys. Who do you have winning? I think Dallas takes this game easily. I think
Easily.
Dak Prescott is gonna go off in this game again.
I concur.
Okay.
The Cowgirls are winning. Sorry, Cowboys.
Minnesota.
Shouts out my Uncle Paul.
Yeah, that's for Uncle
And
Paul.
my dad.
Shout out to Uncle Paul and of course
Yes, sir.
KJ's and Kyle's dad.
We also have Minnesota at Seattle. Seattle's taking this.
Seattle.
Yeah, we don't even talk
Russell
about.
Wilson's
we
gonna
got
go
Seattle
off.
for that.
Yeah,
one.
we also have a doubleheader on Monday.
Another one.
We got Denver at New England.
Another one.
Who do you guys got?
Patriots.
Hopefully Cam is able to start. If
I hope so. Yeah.
if he
They need
not,
him.
but
I think
I'm
we have to
taking
look
the
that up. But I
Patriots.
think so. If Cam plays the Patriots, if Cam doesn't play, then Denver, I would say wins.
yeah, it'd be tough.
What about you, Raul?
Same.
Okay.
He's the if factor for that game.
for sure?
All right. We have the LA Chargers versus the New Orleans Saints.
Saints.
Who do you guys have winning?
Wow.
I'm going with Breeze. Breeze, baby.
We love
This is a
Breeze
good
over
one.
here.
This is a very good game. It could be upset, but I'm going with the Saints.
Okay. All right. What about you, KJ?
Oh, I got the Saints. I got Breeze.
All right. And in the Tuesday night special, we have Buffalo at Tennessee. Tennessee,
the Bills.
still tentative, but
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills. Stephon Diggs, if he's
Just
playing
don't-
well.
If I was the Bills, just make sure nobody coughs around you. Nobody gives you a hug, a dap. Stay
Nunca.
6 feet away from me, bro.
hey,
'Cause
listen, despite the issues with Tennessee is still a very strong team. So
No,
I'm
for
going with
sure.
Tennessee in that
this,
game.
if you think about it, though, this is a huge test for the Bills to answer questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, that wraps up our NFL portion. I think we have a lot of pretty decent games going on this weekend.
Very
We're
good.
looking forward to the Sunday. But now going from NFL regular season into MLB playoffs,
Yeah.
we're in the midst of the divisionals right now. And the Yankees are currently tied with the Rays. 2 games apiece.
2 games apiece.
With Game 5 tonight, the deciding game, guys. Just off the top, who do you think is gonna win? Yankees.
The Yanks.
They're playing right now.
Oh shit! Yeah, it's already 7:00. Yeah. So is there a score right now, kid?
It's zip right now.
Zip. Okay, all right. So I mean, the MLB playoffs have been pretty good. I can't even deny. Like, I haven't been watching every single game, but from the highlights, it's really interesting how each team matches up. Right now, the playoffs are, like I said, in the middle of the divisionals. Okay, so first thing we do have Tampa Bay and New York at 2 games apiece. We also have Houston and the Athletics. I believe Houston is up. I'm sorry. No, they won already. Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
3-1.
So Houston moves on to the AL championship.
Who, the Cheaters?
Yeah, the ALCS. The
Cheaters.
The Cheaters. Let's see if they bang trash cans this year already. LA also won their series. They swept the Padres. I think the Padres had a great season, especially with Fernando Tatis Jr. It's kind of sad to see him go, but I did have the Dodgers making it out of the NL to make it to the World Series. We also have the Braves. They also swept the Miami Marlins. Another team, Miami, being basically a dark horse in the playoffs when in a year that no one expected them to really be anything special. I think it was a great year, but you know what? The Braves made it to the NLCS, and hey, this is gonna be an interesting series. The Braves are a really strong team this year, and they're playing the perennial favorites in the Dodgers. So let's see what happens there. Who do you guys have winning, the Braves or Dodgers, and making it to the World Series? Who do you have?
Dodgers.
What about you, KJ?
That's gonna be a fight of a series, but I'm taking the Dodgers.
All right. So the only series pending right now is the Rays in New York. Hopefully, after we're done recording, we get to enjoy the game, and we'll see where it goes. But you know what? Yankees all day. KJ has his Yankees jerseys on, so you know we lit today.
I'm dripped down. You heard?
But that concludes for the playoffs. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna be watching. I think I start paying attention a little bit more when the league championship series starts. So
definitely,
hopefully the Yankees makes it, and who knows? Maybe like I said, we get to that New York LA series. Although I think they're playing in designated sites for the playoffs. So it's not gonna be the same New York LA type of series that would be as exciting, but we're in the middle of a pandemic, so it's understandable that things are going to change.
It's still going to be exciting.
Yeah,
still going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Raul has something to say, representing Queens, representing the Queensboro Football Club, soon to start their season, I believe, right?
Yeah, guys. So, quick question, guys. What do you guys off the back? What do you guys think about this logo / crest?
Dude, listen,
I'm loving it.
I'm not a huge soccer fan, but I've always been a fan of like the designs that a lot of these soccer teams make. And let me tell you something. That Queensboro FC logo is fire. To our listeners, I'm just gonna describe it. It's the shape of a shield, and it's using black, white, and the colors of the 7 train, a deep purplish pink or pinkish purple. The same color that 7 train uses for its logo.
But very iconic color too, guys. So one thing that we could remember as kids getting on this 7 train and having the whole cart itself being that color, which is like that pink, purple.
Is like, it's like a deep like pink purple type of color, and it also has the like the bridge, kind of like
the Queensboro Bridge.
Yeah, Queensboro Bridge type of like bridge design of the suspension cables on the top. It's a really dope logo. We're gonna post it on our Instagram so you guys can take a look at it. 100%. Raul is one of the newest members of their
Ambassador Club.
Tell me the process that you went through, Raul, to actually partake in for the to represent this team and to promote this team.
Well, in short words, basically me, and something that you guys can relate to, is having a passion for Queens and growing up in Queens.
Represent.
And being from Queens, it's something that we're born with. We all want to say our borough is the best borough in New York. Mm-hmm. We all rep it. We all say we're proud of it. And also, me personally, growing up playing soccer, not only just boxing, but just playing soccer with so many people and kids around me, it's one thing that it's like a brotherhood. It's something like a cult even that you stick with. And knowing that this soccer club was up in the making and upcoming was something that I really, really wanted to get involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And
And thank God that logo is fire too.
Oh my God!
that-
I can't wait to get the scarf and the shirt that I'm currently waiting for to get mailed to.
Yeah.
And
Scarf is fire, by the way.
yeah, and one thing that I'm very anticipated for is the jerseys. That's down the road, but I reached out to them. They felt the same thing as I did. They have so much passion, and shout out to PJ Davison. He's currently the vice president and the sales coordinator for the organization, and the actual ownership, which is Jonathan Crane and David Villa, which, if you know
he's
soccer,
one of the
we know that
investors
Villa
in the team, right?
yeah, and prior to that, he's very recognized as 2010 World Cup
when Spain,
winner.
yeah, when Spain won the World Cup against the Netherlands, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And also, his last few years of playing soccer was here in
And
New York,
MLS, right?
and the MLS
Yeah.
in the Bronx, which is the New York City FC team. But other than that, this whole project is upcoming. They're going to launch their soccer club officially in 2022. Of course, due to COVID, they had to...
That push it back?
They had to push
so
it
they're
back.
going to make their debut next year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn, that sucks. So that's why they haven't came out with the jerseys yet, right? They haven't had the jerseys yet? Oh.
Everything was basically pushed back and hold. But now that things are looking a little better, they've been fortunate to have a few success and few stints with the revealing of the club badge and stuff like that.
Yeah. You know what? Listen, from what I see from that logo and that color, I'm definitely gonna be like buying, because you know me, I'm a Queens all day till I die. And that logo is pretty fire. So I mean, the moment they start like coming out with jerseys, I'm always gonna represent Queens. Even though I'm not a huge soccer fan, I'm always gonna represent Queens no matter what. So hey, shout out to Queensboro FC representing
Turn
Queens
up.
to the
yeah.
fullest. I'm like I said, I'm not a soccer fan, but I will represent this squad because you know what, I love Queens. You know,
Yeah,
Queens
man.
all day. Where are they gonna be playing their games?
So that specifically, hasn't been out to the public. They
Yeah,
haven't
gotcha.
mentioned. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
nothing that I don't know either. It's
like
still in
with
the works. It's
like,
still in the works.
Like how New York, like I think some of the MLS teams, they play like some of their games in Yankee Stadium, and then some of them play in Jersey as well.
Yeah,
they
and-
split their time, right?
And actually, guys, this here it's actually played under a different a league. It's actually called the USL Championship, which is a top tier in the United States.
Yeah.
Very similar to the MLS, but it's different teams, different organization. But it's still
different
very,
leagues.
it's a very high quality league as well.
Okay, cool.
It's up there with the MLS.
All right. Well, you know what? Hey, shout out to Queensboro FC and
Can't go wrong with
our
that.
boy Raul being ambassador for this team. Listen, we're always gonna represent Queens, so I wish you and the team best of luck, Raul.
Thank you,
No
thank you.
kidding,
Appreciate it, man.
no
and,
cap.
And at this point on, huge success to Queensboro FC.
There we go.
Yes, sir.
Guess what time it is, guys?
What up?
It's our Mas Puta list and our goats of the week.
Heyo.
We have a couple of candidates over here. Let's just get into it for
Let's do it.
Mas Puta list. KJ, who do you have as your
yeah.
Mas Puta?
Let's get this started, guys. So my Mas Puta of the week goes to the Tennessee Titans for not keeping these positive corona tests contained and eventually spreading it out to another team in the NFL. So I just
Well, they didn't spread it out, but they it's possible that they
it's
can.
possible that it will spread, with them contracting the virus. And I just want them to be careful and just keep a lookout and be safe, wear your mask, and do everything possible to keep the whole NFL healthy.
And then not only that, but they also inconvenience not only just like the teams that they're playing, because like the Steelers were kind of mad because they wanted to play. Now they have like unwanted bye. I think they scheduled for the bye week that they're gonna make up this game. But not only that, but say if it's 2 weeks, then you really hold up the league, because you can't, especially the Titans being a playoff team, you don't know what their record's gonna be, and if they're in the thick of things, they gotta play those games. So, I mean, KD does have a point about that thing. So, hey, Tennessee Titans, watch out, man. Hopefully they can get that situation sorted right there. What about you, Raul? Who's your mas puta?
So this one was a surprise for me, but it ultimately came down to PBC promotion. Originally, they had Errol Spence Jr. facing Danny Garcia for his welterweight championship in November 21st. But out of the blue, they switched it over to a new date, which is now November 5th. Mm-hmm. And us boxing fans, which we've been keeping up to the boxing schedule, we all know that on November 5th also lands the Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell's fight.
I was about to say Nate Campbell. Shout out to Nate Campbell. But no,
chicken soup.
No,
but yeah, guys. And the reason why I had such a tough thought and decision to name them the Mas Puta of the week is, come on, man. I mean, it's hard enough keeping up with, a whole fight card, let alone another whole different fight in a different country. It's gonna affect viewers' revenue for viewerships. People are gonna want to tune into one fight, let alone to another fight. This is gonna cause a discrepancy, in other words. So this kind of stirs up the beef between DAZN, PBC. It's gonna have a lot of talk. In the end of the day, us boxing fans, we don't want none of that BS. We want everybody to have their own specific schedules. 1 week, I would rather see Danny Garcia fight Errol Spence Jr., and then the next week have Ryan Garcia fight against Luke Campbell. Yeah. That's what I want to. Yeah. I want to have this lineup be.
Ideally, all boxing fans want just a great fight every Saturday.
Yeah,
every Saturday have a great fight. And then it's happened before when a lot of good fights get bunched up the same week. You're like, oh fuck, not necessarily like it's so much like bad thing, but it's also inconvenience, because then you want to concentrate on one card, keep it instead of having switch back and forth. Yeah. It's like having two NBA playoff games at the same time. Like you want to see which one is better, blah blah blah, and it's better to have it just one game at a time.
And also, this Danny Garcia and Errol Spence Jr. It's a pay-per-view fight.
Oh yeah, so then there you go. You got to pay for it.
So
keep and then DAZN also is a subscription, so you got to pay for that too.
Yeah.
And then so now you kind of force consumers to kind of have to choose rather than go for both.
So keep that in mind. This could ultimately cause viewers paying for this pay-per-view for the Errol Spence Danny Garcia fight. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of just screwing yourself putting up against a fan favorite Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell anticipating fight. I know UFC have put on fights against Golden Boy Promotion, DAZN, but even then they had a mutual respect where they put time differences between the main fights. And obviously this is because they know what's best for business. This is not best for business, guys, let alone for fans like us wanting to watch fights. It's going to cause a discrepancy.
Yeah, I mean, as a boxing fan, it's kind of disheartening because, like I said, you want to have one card one weekend. You don't want cards to conflict with each other. Yeah, it's kind of like, when you make plans for the weekend before coronavirus, of course, multiple events would happen on the same day rather than, damn, why couldn't this happen last week or why couldn't it happen tomorrow? And then you kind of like have to sort your day out to try to figure out which one you want to.
It's kind of the earliest, one of the off back of my head, what I can remember similar to this format of scheduling will be like, for example, Cesar Chavez Jr. going up against Sergio Martinez on the same night as Canelo fought. On top of my head, I forgot the opponent he fought.
Was it Liam Smith?
No.
Okay.
This was way back.
Oh, okay, all right.
It might have been even Austin Trout. I don't know. But it was the same night. So it was basically Top Rank going up against Golden Boy.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight against Sergio Martinez was pay-per-view. Canelo's fight wasn't. So it caused a big revenue loss for Top Rank.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? As a boxing fan, again, this is just, make it easier for us boxing fans rather than make it harder, at the end of the day. I think, definitely like conflicting schedules doesn't help us as boxing fans, especially trying to grow the sport. I'm gonna keep mine quick because
who's yours?
My mas puta is Bill O'Brien, the newly fired Bill O'Brien, might I add.
Deservingly so.
Yeah. He was 0-4 this season, although he did take his team last year to the playoffs. They've been to the playoffs multiple times in the Bill O'Brien, and they actually were beating the Chiefs by a large margin before Patrick Mahomes happened, and then he just took over the game. I'm just going to keep it short. Bill O'Brien was never a bad coach. The problem is he has a hard time maintaining good relationships with his players, as opposed to the news story that came out that him and J.J. Watt got into a verbal altercation, and a lot of sources saying that was at that point that was when he lost the team. I also would like to say that Bill O'Brien, the GM, got Bill O'Brien, the head coach, fired more than anything because of that awful trade that he made with the Cardinals, basically trading DeAndre Hopkins, arguably the best wide receiver in the league, for injured David Johnson and I think a second-round draft pick. He could have got way more than that. Also trading Laramie Tunsil and giving the Dolphins 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. I'm not mad at that. Shout out to Bill O'Brien helping out the Dolphins. But Bill O'Brien, the GM, got Bill O'Brien, the coach, fired more than anything. Goes to show you that in the league, 1 year doesn't mean last year doesn't mean anything if you're not doing well right now. It's what have you done for me lately league, and clearly Bill O'Brien wasn't getting it done. My Masputa of the week, Bill O'Brien, the GM, who also got Bill O'Brien, the coach, fired. Our goats of the week, guys. Let's do it. Let me hear your goats of the week.
I'm starting it off.
Go ahead, KJ.
Right, let's get it. We got my goat of the week. You already know Liddy. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. scoring 3 touchdowns to help the Cleveland Browns seal the victory against the Dallas Cowboys in a big conference. Are they in the same conference?
No. They're.
It was just a good game. It was great teams playing against each other, and it was very entertaining. Odell made it even more entertaining, scoring the game-winning touchdown.
That was a crazy fucking
that
run.
was right.
It was like it essentially won them the game, but it was close actually. But the Cowboys were coming back, I think, and then OBJ just went off for that long ass.
And it looked like someone missed a tackle. I
think OBJ makes people miss tackles. I think when OBJ is at his best, he makes people miss tackles.
What is it about him? He does run like a track star.
He's explosive. His parent, I think his mother,
like a track star.
I think both of his parents, but I know that his mom is a track star, and I think his father was also a football player and a track star. So it definitely shows, and it's good to see OBJ get some burn again, considering his struggles in Cleveland
and him being healthy.
And let me ask you a question: did OBJ do any trending dances after their touchdown?
Surprisingly, no. He got the ball and he went straight to his sideline and just cheered.
I think at this point we're done shitting on OBJ at this point. I think we're done shitting on OBJ. I don't know if OBJ is done getting. What about you, Raul? Who's your goat of the week?
You know what? Even though they're down 2 games, I'll have to say Jimmy Buckets. Yeah, they're losing. They could arguably, people would say they're going to lose tonight. But, man, he shut up a lot of critics out there in the league. A lot of people prior to him going to Miami, he's no good for any team. He causes drama. He's locker room trouble, etc. No, he's around a very young team. Seeing him play again in the bubble and against teams in the playoffs, he showed has a different role. He doesn't necessarily have to be the leader. He could be the distributor. He helps the team grow, and he helps the team improve when it needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Other than that, when he needs to be in clutch, he has done it, especially in Game 3 against the Lakers. Yeah. He had that 40 points, triple-double. He had that swagger to him, which all his teammates, you could tell, gravitate towards, and also take a page out of his swag book. Because even then...
Swag book?
Yeah, even then, you had Tyler Hero with the iconic smirk, making that clutch, 3? Yeah. He has a future in Miami. His future in Miami is sealed. He's going to be there for a long time, especially the way he had this whole season, this playoffs run. Who knows? Maybe they're one move away in the transfer market to getting that player to take them to the finals again and winning it all. But until then, Jimmy Butler for this week is my goat of the week.
All right. My go to the week, I'm going to keep it short and simple, is Top Rank's CEO Bob Arum. He made the announcement that Crawford versus Kell Brook is going to be on regular television. It's going to be free, and he's also going to have a crowd there, but not a paid crowd. He's going to donate tickets to this fight to first responders and military personnel as well. So I just want to make it short and sweet. Shout out to Bob Arum. He has his own faults as well, but shout out to Bob Arum for recognizing recognizing the temperature of the world and just the boxing landscape, and knowing that, hey, these fights are going to carry the boxing into the post-pandemic future. Let's start putting our name out, making things free, and then on top of that, having a crowd there with social distancing, of course, and giving it out to first responders and military personnel so they can enjoy a live fight. That's a GOAT move at the end of the day, and all you have to know is that free fights are always great fights.
Hell yeah!
Especially on with the talent level of blanking out. Especially with the talent level of Terrence Crawford and Kell Brook, to have a fight like that on free TV rather than pay-per-view, it just can help the sport so much, especially if it's a great fight, So, like I said, keeping it short, my go to the week, Bob Arum, for making the Crawford. I keep on saying Spence Crawford because I've been thinking about it so much.
We don't want that fight.
But shout out to Bob Arum for making the Terrence Crawford versus Kell Brook fight on free TV, and he's planning other fights on free TV as well.
Yeah,
so
right.
As boxing fans, it's great. Shout out to Bob Arum. My go to the week, absolutely.
Kyle, look, let's put it this way. Next week we have the Lomachenko-Timofeyev fight, which is free.
Yep.
We have tonight, which is my cousin Emmanuel
Navarrete versus Ruben Villa.
He's fighting tonight, so
can't wait to cover that fight next week. Absolutely,
yeah. And just goes to show you, in terms of promotion-wise, during this pandemic, he's on top of his game, man.
Yeah, and I think it shows his foresight, especially with UFC making moves. I think Top Rank is doing the right thing for boxing. So again, my go to the week, Bob Arum. Guys, episode 11 in the books.
Yes, sir.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Salud to all my peoples out here.
Salud.
I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you're listening out there, we enjoy doing this podcast every week. Like we say at the end of every episode, we just want to say thank you to our listeners, to all of our listeners and our supporters for helping us build this passion. So from Kyle,
Raul,
KJ,
just want to say thank you for listening and have a good night, guys. Peace out.
Peace. Cheers.
You got knocked the